The audit. Recommending that. That's what I mean. Critical, sometimes you ought to do it. Even though it's.
Meeting is now called to order. Will everyone stand for Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. John, proof of notice.
Yes, LeMay, as per your documents in Florida statute, notice was posted.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Donna Mosier,
Here.
Eileen Dunn,
Here.
Larry Solidsky,
Here.
Rick Adler,
Here.
Brenda Owens,
Here.
Barry Burgess, Lemaine Eifert,
Here.
Ed Weiner.
Okay, can we have a disposition of the prior meeting minutes? Can I have a motion? Thank you, Brenda. Second it. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Business meeting, art committee, Russ?
Good afternoon. They're going to think we didn't do our work this week. We only had 11 to review. One we didn't even look at. We called the man to come and get it and redo it. We wanted to put some steps in of a very steep driveway. And all he said was material was fiberglass like. We didn't think it was like fiberglass, you know. So he told me that he came and picked it up.
All
I
right.
think he's gonna go look at a set of steps that are already in over on, that have been put in recently. Across the street. Other than that, we had 11 approvals. You have 11 that we approved. We hope that you agree with it.
I only have 10 on here, Russ.
Well, that's that one that crossed off.
No, I have. You said you did not approve. Are you, okay, the one that you did not approve, was that Conley on Mosquero Drive?
Yes, yes,
Okay, so without that, we only have
yeah,
10.
right.
We have 10, Russ.
Yeah.
Okay, 10 to approve. Can I get a motion, please?
I move we accept the recommendations of the committee and approve the 10 that they recommended.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. We have one for the one that was denied. Motion.
I make a motion that we accept the recommendations of the committee and deny the one they recommended.
Second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Russ. I don't have any other committees on here. Is there anyone who has a report from other committees that they want to make? Okay, moving on. Bulk communications contract under the unfinished business. This is an update on Blue Street. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've really gotten anything from them other than from the last meeting. Have we moved ahead with anything?
So we, at the last meeting, it was approved to move forward with scheduling the town hall meeting.
Okay.
I contacted the representative from Blue Stream, and he wants to do that in conjunction with a survey. So I explained to him that the town hall meeting was approved, the survey is not officially approved. So I asked him if he would supply me with something in writing, like a script that we would put on our robocall, whatever documentation he wants on our website, the stuff that we would post. Give me a hard copy so that the board can approve that and the directions that we want to go with it, and I'm still waiting for it.
So we're kind of at a standstill with this. So go ahead, John.
Unless you want to pre-approve that we're doing the survey in conjunction, so that when he comes back, we'll fine tune it, and so it doesn't have to wait for a next meeting. You could go that route if you want.
I think that's a good idea. Is there any discussion? Brenda?
What kind of information are they looking to obtain?
So he wants to do a survey in conjunction with a town hall meeting, either before, after, or simultaneously, to gauge interest, who might be interested in switching to Blue Stream if they were to come in here. And I asked for more information on what type of language, what are you asking for? It's something that the board could put their hands on and approve and say, okay, yeah, this looks good, let's send it out. We're not Timber Oaks isn't gonna do a mailing, but we'll do a robocall, we'll put it on the website, we'll have the homeowners put it on the Facebook sites, that kind of stuff.
My concern is we're going to do this survey and no one will have the information. We have to have some kind of handout. People have no idea what Blue Stream is offering.
And that's what I'm asking for, something that's board approved that we can hand out in the office, put on the website, something that's getting disseminated, the script for the robocall, that sort of thing.
To put the survey out without that information and without being able to tell people this information is now available, it's kind of a waste as far as I'm concerned.
That's what I'm saying, so the survey in the town hall is pending that information that they supply.
Okay, we'll see where it goes from there. Anything else, Eileen?
I guess I'm wondering, why don't we take some of the information that was in the proposal, in the pamphlet that he gave us?
Okay, personally, I don't want to do that. I would like Terrence to see what he wants to put out there. We don't want too much information. We don't want misinformation. We don't want too little information. And Terrence, who is their representative, has dealt with this numerous times. I would like him to get a broad spectrum of, sorry, I didn't mean to use spectrum. A broad idea of what they're offering, so people have an idea of what to look at when they say to the survey, yes, I'm interested in it, or no, I'm not.
Okay, so are we saying that we want to see what he would present to our audience?
I think if we approve this, what we can do is have a sign-in at the office, check it. If you think it's okay, then we can start. We don't want to keep postponing this. At least let's get a start on it.
I believe we've already approved the survey.
Yeah.
So anything pertaining to that, we've already.
Yeah, I don't really think we need to even approve what he would hand out. I'm sure he's not gonna give you false information. He's gonna want to sell the product, so.
The only thing that wasn't approved was the survey part of it. He wants to do it in conjunction with the meeting, so.
Yeah, sounds good.
So do we need a date for when we want to have this town hall?
No, I don't think we can do that until we get the information. We can't set a date until Terrence has the survey ready and that's going out. And then he will give us available dates and we'll try and pick one. To be honest with you, I would prefer an evening, only because there are too many people here that work. And I think it should be open to all. It's too important, John.
So in my conversations with Terrence since our last meeting, I suggested one daytime meeting and one nighttime meeting. For room size and to allow for the seniors during the day and the workers at night, that kind of thing.
If he's willing to do that, I think that's a great idea.
He was on board with that.
Okay. Any other from the board? Anyone from the audience, anything? Okay, let's move on. Okay, our next is on the approval on the audit and approval of an audit engagement letter. And Rick, you as treasurer, you want to lead this off?
Yes, I do. Just to take the secret out of it, after all I'm going to say, I'm still going to recommend that we enter into the contract. But I do want to have, this is a board meeting and a board discussion. I would want to point out what we do have and what we don't get, okay? Because everybody thinks of an audit as a full-fledged audit like General Electric gets or something. We do not do that. We have an audit as required by the state and only that. If you look, we have a 4-page contract to enter into this. I would point out the last sentence on the first page as being extremely important. It says, at the conclusion of our audit, we will require certain written representation from you, that's Timber Oaks, about the financial statements and related matters. Otherwise, it counts. This is a two full pages of items, and it lists out 25 items which we, Timber Oaks, are responsible for and making representations to the auditors. I have attempted and will continue to attempt to reduce this because I cannot see why we have to tell the accountants, the auditors, that we have a good accounting system. I think they should be telling us. And it goes through, I'm going to just hit a few referrals, try not to get too lengthy here. Number 2, financial statements are fairly presented in conformity with US GAAP. How many on the board know what GAAP is? Probably only a few of us on this is the letter that the board, that Excel gave us last year, and I assume this year. You may not have a copy of it, that's why I'm reading directly from it. That the financial statements referred to above, otherwise we're telling the accountants that the financial statements are fairly presented in conformity with the US, its general accepted accounting principles. Now, normally the president would sign this. I don't think he's an accountant. I mean, it's just not, it bothers me, and we'll work off on that. I've had John call the accounting and see if there's a different level of service that, you know, maybe would account that they would look into this stuff. And so far, we no. So we'll work with this. I'm not terribly upset because I think we've got good accounting here and stuff. But why are we telling the accountants, the auditors, that you know what the accounting should be? 3, we acknowledge that we're responsible. Timber Oaks is responsible. Design, implication, maintenance of internal control, and fair presentation, and free from material misstatements. That 4, we acknowledge. I'm not going through all these. We acknowledge our responsibility for the design, implication, and maintenance of internal control to prevent and detect fraud. Related parties, relationship, and transactions have been appropriately accounted for in accordance with US GAAP, General Accepted Accounting Procedure. None of us have been trained on that, at least not recently. But we're telling the accountants that this is what's going on. And I'm switching all the way back again to that acknowledge responsible for presenting of other information on future repairs, RSP they call it, in accordance with US GAAP, General Accounting Principles. And we believe that it's in accordance, it's barely presented in accordance. We're telling the auditors that, and they're relying on that to sign their papers. I take objection to us telling the accountants, yeah, oh, our accounting's perfect. And they say, okay, we'll rely on that and issue an audit report. We're going to be looking into that. Basically, I think we do, but I was the president. I had to sign this freaking letter. Resource management would not sign off to me, would not, and that's what he signed for a system, would not tell us this. So we've got work to do here and what we have to do it. But Al, remember, there's 25 items there. Remember what I said,
One
we're
second.
required by law.
Can someone please go down and put a padlock on the workroom?
Back at it again.
They're running machinery in the workroom after they have been told twice that we have the meeting and they may not be in there.
I think we got to jump.
Thank you, Clyde.
But to
Will you
me,
also, will you also let me know who's in there?
Anyway, with all this, and John and I have been working on it, and you know, we're in cooperation with it. But anyway, it's a requirement, you have to have it. And I think these people are as good as anybody, if not better than most. And we've used them in the past. I recommend that we go ahead with this contract and we try to resolve and sit down and talk with them and see if there's any other adjustments there, things that we can do with them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lemay?
One second, John. What does Resource have to say about this? They do most of the accounting. On our end, it's mostly checks and balances between the office and the treasurer and what goes out. So as far as saying we're following the procedures or doing any of the other, how much is Resource responsible for this?
Well, what this auditor does is basically take the financial statements that Resource provides and they audit those statements. They're not going to go into the office building in Clearwater and go through banker's boxes and dig through files. They don't do that. They take the information that Resource provides to them and they audit that information. So basically what Rick is saying and what the letter is saying is that they're relying that information is provided in good faith and done correctly with no fraud, and they audit that information.
John and I have a few slight differences. And it's not only in good faith, but we're saying it's a good system. I just don't think any of us are really required.
There's no one in there. I think he left the compressor plugged in. And it was leaking.
And so it's an item that I think we just need to discuss with the auditors. And if there's a need for another review, or if there's a need to analyze our system or something, that will come out. I just want to raise it so the board understands why we might be doing some things here in the future. I'll make the motion, by the way, to accept, to adopt and sign that contract.
Second.
My question is, the 25 things that you read off, they keep saying we and Timber Oak, is that not really referring to our management company, since they're really providing us all the,
Yes, of course.
Okay, what I'm reading from is a letter dated August 16th, 2021 to our auditors from us. And this one was signed, I don't believe Beverly wanted to sign this. This was signed by Susan Muniak. In the past, quite often the president ends up signing it. When I was president, had a lot of objections, but it was coming up to the crack where if I didn't sign it, we would have been in conflict and in violation of state law. So I signed it very reluctantly, and it carried on, and it's been being done ever since. So I just think it needs to be analyzed and looked at as much. And I just want to make the board aware of questions in this area and why we may do and what you may be hearing in the future for answers or probably explanations.
Thank you, Rick. We're good, Dale?
Dale Thompson had cheated drive. I'm glad I'm not home watching this because I probably would have shut it off. I'm so confused. Rick, I know that you used to be an accountant and an attorney, so you know what you're talking about. But I myself, and I think a lot of other people that are listening, don't know what the hell you're talking about. LeMay, can you just fill us in on, I've never heard of anything even like this at a board meeting before.
It is my understanding that Rick is hesitant to sign this because it's mainly putting everything back on Timber Oaks. And he doesn't feel that Timber Oaks should be the ones that are responsible. Resource does a lot of this. And I think it might be a technicality either way. His opinion should be noted for future reference in case anything does come back. That's my understanding. Is that correct?
Yeah, I am a certified public accountant. I worked with Price Waterhouse. But I stopped and went into the law area. And when I came out, I had a dual practice, mainly law though, but any business items like that. After being retired now for God knows 15 years. And, I do not feel like I'm up on the current accounting standards. And I don't think anybody on the board really is. And yet we're, I'll use the word certified in this letter to the accountants that it is. I think they should be reviewing it, or we should have an independent company review it and saying that our system is acceptable by accepted accounting principles. And I think we'll work with Resource to get this worked out.
Okay, so an easy, simple solution for a half blonde and half gray person would be that in the past they've done it this way. You would like to make a change and Am I right? You want to make a change to the way it's been done in the past?
Yeah, in certain areas, yes, because I think we're signing things which we really don't know.
Rick, do you want to make the motion?
I do. I
David
already did.
seconded. Debbie, did you get it? Can you tell me what it was? Sorry,
He just,
too long
I'm
ago.
sorry.
the motion was just to approve the signing of the letter of the engagement for the 2021-22 audit and tax preparation by Excel.
Exact words.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you, Rick. Okay, question of open forum, and this was Larry. Do you want to take that?
I've been listening to some people and a little confused about why we do certain things. One of the things is we adjourn a meeting. When you adjourn a meeting, the meeting's over. Go home. Not here. Here we have people, residents standing up after the meeting's adjourned, have discussions about various topics. What I've been told is, correct me if I'm wrong, the board doesn't have to stay up here. The residents leave. The board doesn't have to respond to anything. Am I right so far?
Everything's
So
correct.
why are we listening, having residents come up, talk about things that really, quite honestly, people really don't care about? The meeting's over. So what I want to do is I want two residents to talk while the meeting has not been adjourned. So they get our full attention. And we put that on the agenda by the resident who would like to speak, go to the office, fill out the form on what they want to discuss, and we will put that on the agenda. That's all I'm saying. This way it has a meaning instead of just, to me, wasting everybody's time.
First off, open forum is done after the meeting because the subjects in open forum are not looked at ahead of time. These are some concerns that any of the residents can bring up. By having it after the meeting, they can get up, say what they want. In most cases, and this has happened frequently, I know since I've been on the board, we've taken problems that they see or wishes that they want for bocce courts or the billiard room or the fitness center, and have then looked into it and put it on the meeting under new business. We certainly, if you put it on the meeting, it's just open forum, so you can't really put exactly what they want. And sometimes people sit in the meeting and come up with things and will stand up then. The reason you don't have to put up with it, I shouldn't say put up with it, but this is what happened last year. We had some really nasty business brought up and they were yelling at the board and we got up and walked out because we have that opportunity. Also, 3 minutes does not apply during open forum. They can speak as long as they want. We do not have to sit here. If it's something that is derogatory, which has happened, we are able to leave. So
I would say it's definitely not acceptable for anybody to do any yelling at anybody, period. But that's all I'm saying. If everybody thinks that it's fine, I have no problem keeping it the same way. I just want to make sure the residents are getting what they need to get. That's all.
okay, Rick, you had your hand up. Did you want to say something?
No, I didn't forget it.
Okay.
Basically, 4 words. I agree with Larry.
I'm not up on all the rules and laws with how you regulate these meetings, so I don't know if that's possible without, John, can you help?
I think what might be falling between the cracks here is that if a homeowner comes to the office or if we see a homeowner anywhere on the property with an issue, we encourage them to submit something in writing for board review so that they can be on the agenda. So it's always an option. Just the open forum after the meeting is Plan B.
Correspondence, where that goes under. Eileen, you were next.
I like listening to them at the open forum. Sometimes you're sitting here and just by the discussion from board members or something somebody has said, it clicks in your head, but you already got up and spoke, so you can't say anything. So you say it at open forum. I think it's an opportunity for people to say something while they're here, or maybe they bring up a different issue. I don't see anything wrong with it. Freedom of speech. I like listening to what you have to say.
Anyone else on the board? Yeah,
This may surprise you, but I agree with Larry 100%. Open forum used to be a whole different story. People stayed to hear what people had to say. People were quiet, like they were during the meeting, the people that are quiet. That respect has totally left. When people get up at open forum now, half the people are leaving, and instead of going out the doors and chatting, they all get in little groups and they talk over the people that have something that they feel they want to say or discuss. There's been times myself where I felt I was very disrespected, and now that it's shut off before the people at home get to hear me, I think it's totally useless for me to even get up. The only problem that I have with it is that if everything was done right by Robert's Rules of Order and how the covenants and all that go, if you read about the 3 minutes that we get to speak, it does say, unless my eyes are deceiving me, that yes, we may have 3 minutes to speak. If we sit down and something at that subject comes up, we can get back up for another 3 minutes. We have never done that here, but I can show you that it is in writing because I've read it myself. And a lot of times, the only reason that I disagree with Larry is because I can't put down that I want to talk about something before a meeting when 9 out of 10 times during open forum, I'm getting up about something that did happen during the meeting that I didn't have enough time to say everything that I felt about the subject or whatever the case may be. So then to remember to get on the agenda for the next meeting when that was already taken, you know what I mean? That's where the problem comes in. But he is right. And now that this has been brought up, I could see half of the board meetings saying, well, I don't have time for open forum today. I'm just leaving. Because he's having every right to do that, like you said. So to me, it makes no difference one way or another. He is right. I want people to know that I do believe that he is saying this for the residents. He wants the residents to say what they want to say and actually be heard during the meeting. And that's what people need to realize. He's not saying he don't want to hear the residents. He's saying he wants you to actually take notice and listen to what they're saying. I hope that.
thank you, Dale. Eric?
Gary Burns, 33-6 Monterey. I'm just curious, what Larry's saying, that any topic that anybody wants to put, they can take it to the office, put it in writing, and you will put that on the agenda? And so it's not going to be moderated, so no matter what anybody puts down, and you're going to talk about it.
No, we have not. And I will tell you right now, there are things that have come in that we will not put on.
So then that takes away what Larry just said. Larry said that anything that people want to say, they can bring them. To me, open forum's open forum. You know, let the people talk. You don't have to listen. Yes, Dale's right about people talking and stuff, but if people learn to show respect, then there'll be no problem. You don't have to listen to it, but I think every resident has a right to speak on something. And if they can't put it on the agenda, like you just said now, but Larry wants it on the agenda, then that's defeating the purpose. That's my opinion. As much as I hate to say, I agree with Eileen, freedom of speech.
The only problem I have with the open forum is that when it is after the meeting has adjourned, I understand what Dale is saying, and I've been in that boat in the audience trying to talk. People are milling about, they're talking, as far as they're concerned, the meeting's over. So someone trying to talk or trying to get anything over during that time, it is very disrespectful. But where it sits right now, that's basically what is allowed. Patty?
Patricia French Wiseman, 7024 13A06. You're attempting to mix apples and oranges. Your meetings are directors' meetings. They're not the meeting of the general audience. We get one meeting a year unless there is a special meeting called. And the board allows residents to speak for 3 minutes on certain topics. But that is something the board grants during their meeting. Technically, you don't even have to use microphones, and we don't have to hear what you say. So we'll take that. In the open forum is the chance, other than at the annual meeting, for people to get up and say, gee, I like this, I don't like that. And that's why it's done after adjournment.
Ron Wise at 7024. I wanted to say also, I spent 5 years on that board. So I know pretty much what the rules are. And this meeting that we have here is for the board. It's not for the audience. It's not for anybody else. You don't even have to listen to them. Now you give them the opportunity to speak, but you don't have to pay any attention. Now, once the meeting is adjourned, normally the people sit up there and listen to anybody who has something to say. If you, as the chairman of the board or the president of the board, sees that there is being too much noise and so forth, you have the responsibility to ask those people to be quiet, to listen to people, to listen to the people who have something to say and they want to bring it up at a board meeting. It does not have to be on the agenda, but at least they have the right to be able to speak. And as the board, you have the responsibility to at least listen to these people after. Just because the meeting is adjourned doesn't mean you jump up, get up and walk off the stage. You should be able to listen to anybody who has anything to say after the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Ron. Rick?
Yeah, I'm gonna change my position a little bit, because after hearing what John said and thinking it through, this is the problem with sometimes things come up, is that we actually have both. Because if you sign up and you get on the list and LeMay or Ed or whoever reviews, and put you on the agenda, you're under that thing that Larry has suggested. Then you've listed out and you get to speak. We have the rules. And we also then go to afterwards, like Dale and others have said, and Jerry, that if somebody has something that for some reason the board has cut out and not, you've got the opportunity to say it afterwards. I didn't remember that the 3-minute rule did not apply to that, but of course with the meeting over, technically I suppose you could say that. But there has to be some rules and regulations someplace. I think we used to, even on the after the meeting's over and the people speak, that we still did a 3-minute rule. But we also used to have a thing that any director could request that the person be given another 3 and not have to be done. If anybody wanted even more than that, the majority of the directors said yes. Thank you.
You have something, Larry?
I do. I totally disagree with Ron. I totally disagree. I think the board is here to listen to the residents. If the meeting is adjourned, there is no more meeting. You want to have an open forum where somebody wants to vent or discuss something and nobody replies to them, but just sits here and listens, it makes absolutely no sense. I don't really care what was done 5 years ago. Meaningless to me. What I care about is, and if you have a legitimate question, not a gripe BS session, a legitimate concern or question, it should go on the agenda and it should be discussed at any meeting. That's how I feel, and I don't really care what happens in the past. Okay, if somebody stands in, the meeting's adjourned, she has to go, there's a group talking in the back, nobody's paying attention, nobody's responding to their concern because the meeting's adjourned. They just listen. They don't discuss it. Makes no sense. That's how I feel.
I hear what Larry's saying, but also I think we represent the people so that if they have a legitimate gripe or something, I think maybe it's up to us to put it on the agenda. Just a different way of looking at it.
Karen?
Karen Fridge, 8310 Divot Way. I think we have so few ways of communicating with the board that to take another one away is a shame. And I'm hearing, well, people are talking, people are getting up and leaving. Well, you know, why get rid of something because things aren't right with it? It's kind of like, let's get rid of the parking places so that people aren't fishing anymore. Well, why don't we just stop them from fishing and leave the parking places? So to me, let's take care of the problems that are involved with open forum and still have a respectful listening board to the people who really have something to say. And like Dale said, sometimes it comes up because of what's going on at the meeting. And we've taken our time to come to the meeting, to listen to the board. And so I really respectfully think that it would be good to keep it, maybe keep some rules surrounding it. I don't think the board is not allowed to have rules like maybe 3 minutes, like don't scream, you know, don't talk while somebody else is talking, those kinds of rules. But I think we should keep it.
Thank you, Karen. I don't think there was ever any, anyone's opinion to get rid of open forum. What Larry wants to do is move it into the main meeting. But I have to agree with Ron. This is a meeting of the board. As Ron said, you know, you are allowed to speak at the meeting. And as Patty said, we don't even have to have microphones, but it's done so that you are aware of what's going on with the board. But as far as open forum, you can get up and say, discuss whatever you want. And that should be done after the meeting. I don't think it's going to make a big difference. Plus, there are people that do have things to do and they don't want to sit through open forum. And they should be able to leave. But I do think that the board or president or whatever needs to keep some semblance of order during open forum. And I know we have done that during some of the more unruly meetings when you couldn't hear a thing that was being said. So, Rick?
The open forum that's afterwards, I always like to where there would be no response, but it's a time to gather ideas which maybe have not come out before. And people express them, not everybody can express themselves well. They get in there and they're not under that 3-minute pressure and they express themselves. We don't normally, the board, we don't ask questions, we just go through, but it's a time for the board maybe to make notes and maybe say, hey, there's an idea, and then start among ourselves or among the management or something, and that investigation. I'd like to see us stay where we are, but I'd like to see people try to keep that open forum down until people stay here.
Okay, do we have a motion or are we?
Can I say something else or no?
Yes, you may.
Okay, it's actually,
Can you come to the mic?
it's actually two things, and I'll make it quick. One, I want the question answered from you, LeMay, of, I didn't know that if we wanted to get on the agenda, you only accept certain things. Is that what you're saying?
For the most part, every letter is accepted on correspondence. But sometimes you have a neighbor who is feuding with the neighbor next door. And they want to come up and they want to discuss what's going on. That is not a board member.
Well, it does happen though, so
It does happen,
that's
but
what, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of, and I thought that's what you were thinking of, and it confused me because it did happen. The other
Yes.
thing is, if what I'm hearing, now, Larry brought up eliminating open forum in favor of the residents being able to speak and be heard. That's the way I heard it. What you're saying is you don't have to listen to us at open forum. So if you're really for the residents, why don't you make a change and do the last 10 minutes of every meeting an open forum part of the meeting? So if we have something that we want to ask you, we can ask you and actually, or if we want to suggest something, why don't we make the open forum not where we're being told, well, we don't have to listen to you anyway, you're just wasting your time because we don't care if the people are talking. But this is what it's sounding like you're saying right now.
Well,
If you think about it and you're really interested, find a way to let us be heard.
I understand what you're saying, but to be honest with you, we have never not listened.
I know that's
Only one time, and that was when we were going over Spectrum and we had people yelling names at us and it was just horrible. And my opinion was walk out. During the meeting, I wanted the meeting stopped and I wanted to walk out. That will not happen. But again, this is a board meeting and you're saying we don't have to listen to you. This is gonna sound horrible, but I'm gonna tell you this too. When you come up during our meeting and speak, we don't have to listen to you. That's something that's granted here because we want to listen to what you're saying. So technically, that's enforced during the entire meeting, and afterwards during open forum. We have never used it. No one has ever gotten up and walked out during open forum. And I don't think Larry ever wanted to get rid of it. His idea is to move it from where it is after the meeting onto the board meeting. And the other thing I don't understand, maybe this can be changed, can we keep the meeting, feed open during open forum? Because I think people should hear what's being said afterwards. Because a lot of times, some of our ideas for the next meeting come from that open forum.
The mayor just wanted to say, you're right. I'm not looking to change anything, I'm just looking to make it more productive.
Right.
And if somebody has something to say, I think we should listen. I'm sure the give and take, whatever. That's all. I'm not looking to eliminate it. I just want to make sure that we're listening to what they had to say.
Thank you. Don?
So Florida statute does not allow you to have an open type forum during the constraints of a regularly scheduled meeting. The only thing that you could probably talk about at a scheduled meeting that's not on your posted agenda would be an emergency board item that requires action.
So we can't leave it running? That's
No, I'm saying you can't have an open forum during the meeting.
during the
If the
meeting,
board chooses to leave the video feed on during for open forum, that's
after
your,
the meeting is
that's your
over.
prerogative.
I think that's a good idea. I don't know, I guess we need to make a motion for that? Yes, okay, can someone make, I guess I can. I would like to make a motion that the video feed stays on during open forum if it remains at the end of the meeting.
I second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. I think we've talked this to death, basically. So, my opinion, and I will make the motion, I would like to make a motion that open forum stays on the at the end of the agenda after the meeting ends. I would like to keep it where it is now with some rulings done.
Madam President, a point of order. I think that's exactly what we have now, so I don't think that the motion is
So we need-
proper.
Okay. Does anyone want to do another motion, Larry? Do you want to make a motion for it during? You're good? Okay. That's it. Let's move on then. It will stay where it is. But honestly, we will try and be better at if people are talking or moving around and not paying attention. They can take that out into the hallway or somewhere else. So we'll try and be better at that. Thank you. New business, fines and suspensions. Okay,
I move,
go ahead.
I move to find the owner. Is this working? I move to find the owner of 1303 San Bernardino Drive $50 a day for lawn and landscaping, which is in violation of Tosca's covenants, up to $5,000.
Anyone seconding? You want a second to look at this? Second. Okay, we have a second. Any discussion? Oh,
Yes.
go ahead.
I can't discuss what I can't find. What is it, 10? What was the address again?
8103.
Oh, 81, okay, thank you. That's what-
This one is violation, please cut and edge grass. This is the final notice. Any discussion? All in favor? Say aye. Opposed? Motion's passed. Next.
I move to find the owner of 11040 Island Pine Drive, $50 a day for rubbish and outside storage, which is a violation of Tosca's covenants, up to $5,000.
Motion made. Is there a second? Thank you, Larry. Any discussion? It was second, Larry seconded. Island Pine Drive, I'm not sure. Driftwood. That's a driftwood? Wow. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anyone else here beside Brenda? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed? Next.
I move to find the owner of. I move to find the owner of 11127 Island Pine Drive, $50 a day for maintenance. Specifically, a broken window that appears to be broken. It needs to be repaired or replaced, which is in violation of Tosca's covenants, up to $5,000.
Any questions, discussion? Anyone seconding? All right, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next one. This is the same, this is the same property.
Yes, I move to find the owner of 11127 Island Pine Drive, $50 a day for architectural and aesthetic guidelines violations, up to $5,000. Specifically, it says on the letter, window air conditioning units are not permitted.
Actually, they are permitted, but not in the front of the house. Okay. All right. Okay, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that was fine. Sure. Microphone. Does it have to do with the fines and suspensions, anything that was just done? I don't see why not. We're talking fines and citations and that. Yes, Larry. Go ahead.
Can you,
Oh, yeah. Hear you, Larry. Oh,
listening to a lot of the fines and lawns and things of that nature. One of the things that I'm concerned about, even more so than lawns, is the black mold that is accumulating on many, many, many roofs in Timber Oaks. For folks who don't know what black mold is, it is a health hazard. And it travels. I tell you, we never discuss it. We don't even have a person going around checking roofs in this development. All we do is check patches of grass, bad lawns. And I would like to see us expand to have somebody checking the roofs in Timber Oaks to ensure that either the residents clean them, get rid of the black mold, or get violations. Because I think it's even more important than the lawn.
John, is this part of our HOA rules?
You could enforce that.
It is on there?
Yeah, there's nothing that's gonna say that mold on your roof is a violation, but there's gray areas about maintaining your property that would apply.
Okay.
What Larry's referring to is a common violation in the HOA world.
Is there any standards that are out that we, so we can have measurable standards as to what?
You don't have any,
How you test for that? I'm not sure what black mold is.
you don't have any measurable standards for anything.
That's true. Eileen?
And a lot of that, a lot of the stuff that's on the roofs comes from those camphor trees and a lot of the trees. Because I've had my roof cleaned and it doesn't take more than a couple weeks before it's turning black again. And it's not mold. It's from that stupid camphor trees. So I don't know how we can enforce that. I mean, I clean around the sides to trim.
Thank you, Eileen. John?
If we were going to inspect for what Larry's suggesting, we wouldn't say, you've got a black mold problem, you must fix it. It would be generic, like your driveway. It would say there's staining or of some nature on your roof and you must correct the problem. That could be faulty shingles. It could be what Eileen's talking about. It could be mold. It could be algae. Just like your driveway, the wall of your home, your fascia, your gutter. If your roof's dirty, your roof's dirty.
If you cite people for dirty driveways or rust on their driveways, how the heck can you not cite them for filthy, these roofs in this development, you don't even know the color of the shingle.
I will be honest with you. I've never noticed it, but it's never been, anything that I've looked for. The only fear I have is we're not covering what we're already doing. We have so many problems with that. That would be something else to add on.
You're 100% right. The person that Resource has going around checking our development, I would like to really get involved with them.
You and the rest of the board.
The fact is, I'd like to know the criteria she's looking for. I'd like to know what does she do? I mean, does she go to one village this week and monitor the entire village? Does she go to the next village the next week? What does she do? What's her mapping? How does she get around? What is she looking for? What's the criteria? And so on and so forth.
I was in the office talking to John about this during this past week, only because there's numerous people on this board who would like to ride along, but John said she has a thing with COVID. Is that correct, John?
Yeah, so that is correct. So I don't think geography or the mapping is the problem. It's the criteria set forth by the board, which we currently do not have. No criteria, how high is the grass before it's a violation, how dirty is the driveway before it's a violation. There's no official policy or criteria for the inspector to follow.
But we have rules. You're saying the rules are too crazy. All right, Donna, you were first.
Yeah, when I talked to the lady at Resource Management about this, she said that what we should do is come up with a scope and say, okay, if your grass is over 4 inches tall, you're gonna get a fine. If your roof is this colored, you're gonna get a fine. Put specifications on what you want her actually looking for, but she should know this already.
I think we've gone through this before. Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong, that we do certain things certain times. If we're going to do driveways, that's what's done this week or this month. Let her do all the driveways this month in the development. No, Jerry, help. Yes, they do, but if he's saying something to what I'm saying, then it's, my turn is still here.
No, that's what a couple of us on the board in the past tried to push through is, if you're gonna do driveway, let the people know this month, we're gonna go through every village and do everybody's driveway. So now when you see a driveway that, you know, that she's all done, then you turn around and say, okay, they must have got a letter. Or you'll know in a month whether that person got a letter or not, and you got one, why didn't they get one? There's too much favoritism. That's what it is. You know, some people get written up, some people don't. When you pull in, this person got rust on the driveway, these two over here got rust, they've written up the first one. It's, in my opinion, it's who you offend.
That's why I would like to specify what we're looking and do that with the whole development. Eileen, I'm sorry.
I think that we need to put it in writing, what the expectations are and what should be done when. And maybe management can do that. I don't know that the
Well, I
board.
think that's what we're talking about now, is scheduling certain things to be done certain times of the
What I'm
year
saying,
and keep it that
do we
way.
need a motion to direct management to do that?
No, I don't think so. We're not even at that point yet, because I don't think management is the one to direct them. I think the board has to
Yeah, but I would like to
decide
see
what
it.
needs to be done.
Okay, but I would like to see it in writing.
It has to be done by the board, not by management. Management cannot say, you go out and you just do this time, because we'll go back to the same thing. If the board makes a decision, then it's the board who is to follow through on it. Rick?
I think we should have a
Yeah. I really have a question for John on this. It's the person, call it a woman, I guess it's a woman, that goes around and inspects. The reason we got non-resident to do this was to try to eliminate bias. Now, does she just go by green cards, or does she go by a combination of green cards plus an area? Or just what does she do to go out and site an area, or what's it currently?
She tries to do a full inspection of the property every week. Green cards are a part of that, but she does typically she might go out and do all the green cards, and then when that's done, she'll go out and do a inspection of the rest of the community. I guess what I'm saying is, it's not that we need a policy, like a document that's that fat with a lot of language. We need pictures. We need the board to give us a picture and say, okay, this is an example of grass that's too high. This is an example of grass that's too dead. This is an example of a driveway that's too rusty. Because everybody on that board's got a different opinion about every subject we look for. So we need the board as a body to be on the same page, supplies with those pictures of what they consider to be a violation and the priority of those violations.
Well, we've had this issue come up about this same girl before, and if she's not doing her job, I think we need to get somebody else that will do it. Got the same problems, the same issues we've had with her before. We talked to management.
Donna's right. We got the same problem because the board's never set the criteria. This is my third board. We've yet to receive a criteria, and it's been asked for of every board.
We have to write it.
Well, my suggestion then, I'll suggest when Dale's done. Dale, would you like to address this?
Yes, definitely. Okay, this has been going on way before Linda. Linda is the woman that drives around. Linda now has the name of the witch and all these other bad names, but it's the residents that caused her to get this name. When we had Associa, we paid people to ride around. In fact, we had a couple of young fellas and they were doing okay, but people started complaining, why isn't this being done? Why isn't that being done? The shrubs are high, this, that, and the other thing. They paid money to live in a deed restricted area, and they wanted the people next to them to have as nice a yard as they did. I can totally understand that. So they started citing more and more people. It got to the point where I myself had to call Associa and complain about the management, because management told the guy to bust my sister's chops, who wasn't even living here, but bought the house next to me. And it got to the point where my sister flew in from New Jersey, had a talk with the then manager here. And the manager nicely told my sister, well, if you don't put sod down within a week, you're going to start getting a fine. My sister says, well, I guess I'm gonna have to put the for sale sign on. And the woman says to her, well, go and buy the sign or something like that, which was totally ridiculous. The whole thing was straightened out. Those guys left, associate is no longer here. We got Linda. Linda started doing her job. People started complaining that she wasn't working hard enough. She wasn't doing this, she wasn't doing that. I know for a fact from management at the time and from people on the board, she was told to go and bus certain residents, and she did. And then other people were still complaining, so she started writing up more and more people. It's just like the cops. If you don't give so many tickets a month, you're not doing your job. So she started just riding around. From what I'm thinking, she used to stop and talk to me all the time. Now, if she sees me coming out my driveway, she takes off like a bat out of hell. Just saying it like it is. And I feel sorry for her because she's caught between a rock and a hard spot. She's got a job to do. She doesn't really want to hurt the residents, but she's got to write a certain amount of people up, and it's not being done right. I myself, and I don't know if this is the time to do it or not, but I have a very big question about this from a letter that I just got, and I am going to ask John, the manager right now, who usually doesn't answer me, was I the only one that got an email about my yard? Would the board like to ask John to answer that question?
John, I will ask you, was Dale sent an email regarding her letter?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, your name was on it.
She got a violation.
I got a letter 2 days after an email with your name on the top. The May I sent a copy to you, didn't I? Or wasn't his name on that part?
No.
So, but
They just
to
sent me a copy of the letter.
answer her question, if I didn't count them, but during last week's inspection, I believe at least, I would guess 25 individuals got letters for poor turf quality or turf-related violations. At least 25 people, more than one person in her location.
Well, the best part of it is, mine was from the sidewalk to the street that the county owns, the street that I went out and looked at that had 2 empty liquor bottles and a McDonald's bag laying there. I don't care if I had sod put down from the sidewalk to the road. It would still look like heck because of the stuff people throw out the windows. First of all, I don't even think I should really be responsible for that. Then, after riding around and taking some pictures that unfortunately I couldn't get to download today, if you ride along Ponderosa, it goes from 2 feet after the sidewalk to Ponderosa up to about 6 feet where I live, and half of it is not nice grass. But I'm still concerned about why I received a personal email and why no one else got an email.
No, you're 3 minutes.
Okay.
John?
I have no idea what we're talking about with an email. I have not sent any residents an email. But the Timber Oaks documents requires that the homeowner maintain up to the edge of the street. The county knows this.
Okay. Actually, we're discussing what's next on the agenda, which was a deed restriction inspections and particularly lawn violations, which is what I put on the agenda. The reason I put it on is because I contacted the county and we are still in a drought. So as far as lawns that have brown spots or do not have grass in them, at this point, we cannot send out letters for those. I was a little upset because, and I think we need to change some of this. I was a little upset because last week, letters went out and no one, as far as I know, no one from the board really looked at them or signed them. They were sent out in bulk. And then I find out that they have to go out and do it during a certain amount of time. But I think we need to have a time set every week so that anyone from the board can look at these letters. Because if letters, I know John said 25 letters went out on lawn restrictions. If those letters are for no grass or brown spots, legally we can't enforce them because of the drought. So I think part of the board's responsibility will be to set a time when lawn restrictions should go into effect. We are not in the rainy season. We got a couple days of good rain, which was great if you already had a lawn. But if you didn't, it wasn't going to change anything for you. And yeah, it makes the weeds grow. But again, if you have weeds, they have to be cut. And this is all gray areas that Linda is trying to deal with no guidance. So I think we need to get a committee together. My opinion is have a committee of 2 or 3 from the board, and I would like 2 from residents, and go over some of these violations and set what is recommended. Jerry, you want to be on the board, on the committee? Okay. Anyone else? What? That's fine with me. Larry, 1, 2, 3. You two, Donna and Eileen. All right. John,
Are you suggesting, it sounds like you're suggesting that we close out any turf quality violations in our system?
I think we have to right now. I'm not talking about those that are still hanging from last summer or last fall, because those had plenty of time to fix and they did not.
And any new violation that's been cited in the last 6 weeks since?
Yes, I think so. Any other opinions of
Since,
yours?
since April 1st, anyone that's received, I'm just trying to narrow it down so I can, any turf quality that's been received the first notice since April 1st?
I think that would be fair.
I would like to say one thing.
All right.
I'm not familiar with the fence along Jasmine. The overgrowth of trees, shrubs going over the fence, through the fence. Been there for quite a long time as I drive there all the time. Have we sent letters out to those residents along that Jasmine strip to remove all of those violations?
Not that I knew.
I
That
think,
fence, there's tons of them.
I think the only thing that might be in the system at this time are fence-related violations. We have cited homeowners for landscaping type things such as tree limbs and stuff, but at this point in time, if I had to guess, the only thing that's in the system would be concerning a fence.
I think we have to look at that, John.
Well, you know what? Put it on your committee. Okay, good. Anyone else? Anything else? Eileen?
So, some of the residents had called the county about some excessive, at least on Mira Vista Drive, the lawns that was like about almost getting to be 3.5 feet tall. And the county had those people, sent them a letter, and they came out and mowed the lawn.
Nice. Only it shouldn't be at 3.5 feet without us
I
finding.
don't know what's in the county's letter, but it motivated them to come out.
But
The
Debbie,
lawn.
did you have something?
I just need confirmation of what this committee's duties are. Is it just to review the letters? Are they reviewing the policy?
My opinion, and I guess we can have discussion on this, I think the committee needs to set criteria for the letters that go out. And yeah, it needs to be recommended to the board and then we will vote on it, but we need something. We can't keep bashing a woman who has no criteria. No,
It's probably not, letter's probably not a part of the equation. It's the inspection criteria before the letter's generated. What are we looking for during the inspection process?
Right.
And that can be a seasonal question also.
I would also like, John, I would like you to be an advisor on this committee. You've dealt with this not only here, but in other communities. Thank you. Are we good? The committee, do you know who consists of the committee?
I have everything.
Okay. You do have everyone or not everyone?
I do.
Okay, thank you. No discussion from the audience, residents? Okay. And guess what? We're moving on. Pool water temperature. I received a letter from a resident because last year the pool was really warm for a length of time and we voted last year to have the water temperature lowered. I think it's still too early. I know we've been getting great weather, but it is still early to lower the temperature. And John, what is the temperature now on the pool? Around 88, somewhere around there?
Maintains 88 degrees, and last year the vote was to lower it to 84 for the summer months.
84? Is that too cold for you?
I have to admit, now that I have to admit, I underutilized the pool, put it that way. But maybe we should do an interim and go to 88 to 84 is quite a huge adjustment, quite frankly. Maybe we should go to 86 now and reevaluate it.
Honestly, last year when it went to 84, it was such a blessing because it had been so warm. You know, summers we're talking 90 degrees and up, and at 84 it was actually it was good.
Well, then do the 84. I mean, but not to do anything.
We're not gonna do it now.
The water was cold.
Use your mic, use your mic, use your mic. Thank you.
The temperature the other day was cool, and then the water was cold because the nighttime temperature had dropped.
Yeah, I think at this point,
I
we
think
need
it's
to
a
leave
little
it where it
early.
is. We're talking about when should we lower it to
I think-
84, and I think probably we go with the summer month. June, when is first day of summer, June 21st? Anyway, yes.
Hello, Jennifer Spivey, D25. I believe last year the temperature was lowered, requested June 21st through September, which would be the summer season only. And I think that's basically what they're requesting this year again.
I believe you're right, and I think it was set perfectly last year. But do we need to do this every year the same, or,
I thought not, but apparently we do. So.
okay, all right. Rick?
Just in case you do, I so move. At June 21st, we lower the temperature to, is that 64?
84.
84.
Not like Michigan, Gary.
84, and then through, what was the date, September?
September 21st.
September 20th.
Yeah,
20th.
yeah,
That's what we did last year.
every year. Every year,
Yeah, all right,
every year,
annually.
Thank you.
annually. I second that. Can I? Okay. Are we good with that? Any other discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Correspondence. Is there anyone here regarding the letter that was sent?
So the address on the agenda is the offender in that complaint. Those folks probably don't know that it's on the agenda. The correspondence is from the folks that filed the complaint.
Do they need, well, I don't think they need to be present, even though the letter regards them. Depending on what is done, they can take it to the fining committee if they are not happy with this. Everyone should have a copy of the letter, and I did look at the tape, so we still have it if anyone wants to look at it. I will read it so that everyone is aware of what went on. On May 12th, last week, around 9:45 in the morning, pool exercise class was coming to an end. A young man got out of the hot tub, headed to the pool, yelling to the class to stop laughing and making so much noise. He proceeded to return to the hot tub, and we continued with the class. He proceeded to get out of the hot tub a second time, yelling profanities to the pool class. He then angrily picked up several sandals and threw them at the people in the pool. Luckily, no one was injured. He left the pool area and headed to his car. Turning around, he returned a third time to the pool, yelling, "I told you to be quiet." We notified John in the office, and he took over the matter. The entire incident was pretty scary for the people in the pool. This young man, the son of Marcia and John, one of the residents of Fairway Villas, has anger issues and needs to be accompanied by an adult when coming to the pool. And there is a number of residents that were there that signed it, 13 people that signed the letter. Give me 1 second, Rick. After watching the tape, I have to tell you that he did not throw sandals or shoes at the people in the pool. He basically threw them up in the air. They did land in the pool. They did not hit anyone. You don't have a copy of the letter? Okay, it was in your box. Anyway,
Okay, point of order. That was Cindy Randall.
go ahead, Cindy.
That is incorrect.
What is incorrect?
He threw the shoes, in fact, he hit two women next to me in the shoulder. He threw them in a fit of rage.
Talking to the microphone.
I'm sorry, he threw them in a fit of rage as he was using profanity. He had hate on his face was absolutely correct. I mean, honestly, no, he intended he wanted us out of that pool. No question about that. We were disturbing his quiet time in the hot tub.
Rick?
I need a definition of young man. Young man, 7 years old, 28 years old, or 68?
Probably 30. I would
I
say.
would say it's like 20. Old enough to know how to act.
I have to say something. I agree with you 1,000%. I did see the tape.
He was very angry.
I saw the tape and I recommend that this young man, we do not allow him to come back into our pool.
Well,
He
and
could have physically
Absolutely.
hurt something. There's a whole bunch of ladies in that pool. I think one man was there. He threw those shoes and sandals in a fit of rage. There was no doubt in my mind.
What's
He should be suspended for pool use privilege.
Well, what my concern was, he came back the next day, okay, and I went in, John said, it was back then, I did. He kind of like torments you, like he came into the pool and said, I'm here for the class. And we said, okay, we'll go up and get a ball, and he goes, I have to buy my own ball? Oh, forget it, and he gets out. He goes, well, I'm gonna leave now, but guess what, I'm coming back after the class. He almost like threatens you. There's something wrong with, seriously, on his.
There's no room for that in a senior development.
And
at all.
honestly, I can tell you, we have a special needs girl. Who does the class with her mom, beautiful girl, loves the class. After that happened, she didn't want to come back. She was scared. And we talked to her and she asked to come back and I said, honey, you have nothing to worry about. But she was definitely tormented by that. And you shouldn't have that. You should be able to come to your pool class and now we're kind of like watching around our fence for him to come back because he does.
Yeah, I definitely would recommend.
Okay, let's get more discussion going up here. Thank you, Cindy. Eileen?
Make a motion to suspend this fellow for 60 days.
I'm not sure if he's visiting or lives here with his parents. He lives with his parents. The ban would be for would be for his parents, which means that he would not be allowed to come in. But the suggestion on the letter is that he be accompanied by an adult, which would mean his mother or father would have to go. Let me see if there's anyone else. Anyone else up here? Eileen? That was it? Rick?
I guess technically I seconded it, but I'd like to ask John, what do our rules indicate I know we can fine, which I don't think this is particularly what I want to do in this case, but is there a limit to suspensions or?
Your documents allow for the suspension of privileges after it follows the Fines and Suspensions Committee's protocol. And he would receive a letter. The letter would give him, I think, at least 14 days notice to attend a Fines and Suspensions meeting, and then that committee would rule on whether or not to uphold your suspension. The duration of the suspension, there's no outline for that. It's board prerogative, I think.
Okay, would the suspension start when he got the letter or after they go over?
After the Fines and Suspensions meeting. It would probably follow the course of the fining process, which is like 5 days. It would probably start 5 days after the Fines Committee made their determination, if they were in agreement with the board.
Okay. We kind of have a problem, I kind of have a problem with that, because if the people doing the exercises are worrying now, that gives them 2 weeks at least until everything is done. So, anyone else on the board? Patty?
Patricia French Wiseland again. You have to be careful about how long you suspend somebody. Like I heard, well, Dan, I'm from the clubhouse. I don't really think legally we can do that. And we have suspended people for 30 days within recent memory. And if you want to go more than that, you've really got to go carefully, because families threaten to sue, and we have been threatened with lawyers' letters before regarding other similar instances to this that were resolved privately, but you got to be careful.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I need to respond to that.
Go ahead.
A couple of years ago, two gentlemen had a fight in the clubhouse. One gentleman had a gun in his possession. The gun flew out while they were rolling around on the floor. The other gentleman didn't have anything. They were both suspended for 6 months. This happened 2 years ago. I know because I play cards with them. So yes, we have suspended for more than 30 days. 2 years ago, 6 months. That would be my recommendation for this fellow.
Eileen?
I think you spend these, last time I think I looked, it was 30 to 90 days. Suspension for it.
All right.
Okay, this, Dale Thompson,
I'm
Cheetah
sorry.
Drive.
Yeah, let me get.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Rick.
I was just saying, we have a motion on the floor for 60 days.
Yes.
That's just amendment.
Discussion.
Yeah, well, let's just let everyone discuss and then we'll go back to it. Is that all right? Dale?
Okay, this is one of those situations where it could turn into more than 3 minutes, so I'm gonna try to go fast. First of all, in the sections where the family sections live, the children aren't even allowed to come into the pool. I think hearing this story, that if we have people 55 and older in the senior sections that all of a sudden have younger kids coming to live with them, how does that make it any difference? Why are they allowed to use the pool? Is it a 21 and over situation?
Yes.
Okay, well, I hear an awful lot of times, we have a lawyer, last I knew we had like 3 lawyers, and yet we're always afraid of being sued. We have to stop that. If that's what we have an attorney for, and we need an attorney to fight something, we need to fight it. I do not think that if you've got 12 people that went to court in a situation where you banned this person from the pool, and this is a safety issue. This isn't a being mean to somebody issue. This isn't a fight with 2 adults that are just idiots. This is a person that probably needs help. We all could have a child that has problems. I don't care how old he is. If he's got issues where he can hurt somebody, he should not be allowed in the pool at all, ever, without an adult. It doesn't matter how old he is. He's not safe to be around others. He needs somebody with him. So if you just suspend him for 6 months, if this poor guy has something wrong with him, which it sounds like it does, he could come back with a vengeance in 6 months. I would not allow him in the pool without a parent.
Anyone else? Anyone else on the board? I have to tell you, I think 60 days is a lot. I would prefer to do 30 days and maybe add on that a parent must accompany him until we're comfortable with, if we are ever comfortable with him being on his own. But I didn't make the motion, that was not in the motion, so. Eileen?
I'm not sure that we can force.
Can what?
I'm not sure that you can have an adult. I don't know how old he is, but I'm not sure that you can force him to have
I
his
think we
parents.
certainly can.
That's
He is
not-
not a resident, he is a resident here who, he's not on a deed. He's probably late 20s, early 30s, I would think, by the age of his parents. John, and there is a pool where they live. Need it.
Eileen beat me to the punch. I was gonna say exactly what Eileen said. That would be a question that I would run past the attorney if you have the ability to mandate the adult supervision for someone over 21.
Oh, I see what you're saying. John, Ed?
I'd like to address this.
Go
I
ahead.
think that if this young man has some handicap issues, maybe or whatever, that we can establish that he has to have supervision from his parents. If you can use that as an excuse for his behavior, then we can turn around and say, you know, they have to be there if he's going to be in the pool. Because we're not responsible for his behavior. They are. And we don't want to put our residents at a risk of allowing him in the pool where he can go off. So I think they need to be suspended, and then when he does come back, he has to come back with parental supervision.
And every resident here is responsible for guests who come in, which is anyone under the age of 55. Unless it's your, a husband and wife, something like that, but this is a child. This is a husband and wife with a child that lives with them, so. Anyone else? Rick?
Well, I'm a little bit leaning to John on manager on the having an adult person have to come with his parent. Because we not really have any mental health proof or anything like that. We haven't looked into all that. I think you get into a delicate area there, which if we don't need to, this is the first time, hopefully. It is of concern, and I just assume run with this 60 days and see how that works. Does he, since you slapped him, he'll then do it. But I just think there could be legal consequences of trying to put somebody under parents. You could say the legal residents of that household, put it that way, rather than parents. That might work better. Okay. Anyway, John's raising his hand.
I don't even think you can do that because he is a legal resident. Yeah. He's not an owner. He is a legal resident. He is not 55, but we allow children under the age of 55 to live with their parents as long as they're, I believe it's 21. Right. John.
So just to add on to what Rick and I are saying, and Eileen, the documents say that you can suspend the rights. They also say that you can establish rules. You currently have no rule that mandates this homeowner supervision. That's why I'm making that point.
Right.
The rule's not in place for you to enforce. You can put that rule into place, but then that requires a postcard, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's legwork involved to establish that. But as of today, you don't really have that rule.
Right, and with HIPAA regulations, you can't go to the parents and say, does he have problems? And anyone who has spoken to him knows he has problems, so. All right, Jerry, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I know in the past, there was a man here, I guess, and he had some problems, and he scared the women. And the guy even saved somebody's life from drowning in the hot tub, but the women were scared of him. And every time he had to come to the pool, he had to come with an adult. It was either his mother or sister. And that was years back when I came here in 2012. But on that situation that Larry was talking about, I hand delivered the letter when the office rolled up. It didn't go to find some. Action was taken right then and there, and they both were suspended. And I hand delivered the letter to the one gentleman that had the gun, that they went back. It didn't have to go in front of the finance suspension. I guess they checked with their attorney, because on something like that, with this But, I don't think you have to send it to final suspension. Because again, I hand delivered it and the people abided by it.
Yeah.
I think if we're just going to, Ed, do you want to say something?
That was me.
Oh, never mind, that was Larry. Honestly, I'm hearing voices now. Do we need to check with the lawyer? If we're gonna put that he has to have a parent or something, I think at this point, let's do a suspension of privileges. But it has to be in effect now, like Jerry said, this is someone we've had problems with.
Yeah,
I'm only repeating what your documents say, and your documents say that you have the ability to establish rules and you have the ability to suspend rights. Either one of those would go to the fines. Your documents spell that out very clearly, that it would go to Liz's committee. If you want to make a motion, if you want it to be more severe pending legal review, then you can just take the most severe course of action that the attorney would suggest. If you want to go that right without delay.
I agree, John. I don't think we should allow him in the pool today or tomorrow or any other day. I think we should send out a letter and suspend him immediately.
Okay, Liz.
Liz Goodnow, Buena Vista Drive. I was on the fines committee and had that specific fine violation, come through. And they did appear, the gentleman that had carried it, if it's the same one I'm thinking of, it happened in the pool in the, the gentleman that had the gun and I want to say it was the spouse of the other person, did appear in the fines and suspension. I believe the fine was immediate. I think, not the fine, the 30-day suspension was immediately carried out. And that may have been the letter Jerry's referring to. But they did also appear, as did, I know, the president, the person that sent the fine in, the president of the board, showed up as a witness on that specific case. And I believe it is the case that you're referring to, Larry. Just for your information.
Thank you. Now, I just heard Liz say, we gave a 30-day suspension of privileges. Oh, Larry said it was 6 months. Larry, it was.
No.
They said 60 days.
60, that was.
Debbie, do you know?
When the incident first occurred, a letter was sent.
Quiet, please.
Wait a minute.
Now, everyone be quiet. I would like to hear what Debbie's saying since she's reading from it. Debbie.
Okay, so when the incident first occurred, the manager at that time sent out a letter effectively saying you're suspended. And that after further review, because we did have to send him a letter saying it will be going to fining, that after further review, action will be considered by the Fines and Suspension Committee. And then at that time, the committee did suspend him for 6 months more.
For 6 months.
More.
Okay, John.
Since I have been here, I believe it was 2 summers ago, one homeowner was suspended for 90 days and they waived their fines and suspensions meeting.
Just to finalize this, those 2 people were suspended for 6 months from the clubhouse.
Yeah.
They had no clubhouse privileges for 6 months. I know them.
Yeah.
Friends with both of them.
That's what Debbie just said. Yes, Rick.
And let me say that those 2 people were very cooperative with everybody about what happened. We did not have a rule of, well, maybe we did have a rule of no firearms. It was an accidental, nobody reached for anything. I don't want to say punched or pushed, but fell down and then came out. But I saw the videos, I was involved there. I saw the videos and boom, there was a gun, so it was one of those things that happened. So let's move on. Like I said, there were 2 decent people.
Okay.
What I wanted to say was my daughter,
Can you state your name, please?
Martha Morris, I live off Calico Loop. And my daughter and I, she's the one who has special needs, comes with me 3 times a week, loves the class, loves the people. And when this incident happened, it really flipped her out. She was afraid to come back the next day. And we just have lived here for 6 months. And I don't want to live in fear, which this guy kind of flipped myself and probably some of the other women also. And I found myself Friday, the next day, when he was in the hot tub again and going into the pool, being a smart aleck and all this kind of stuff. And I have found myself that Friday and since then scouring the whole pool area because I don't know if this guy's going to come back and flip and bring a gun or something. I don't want to live like that. We didn't move in this community to live in fear. I don't care if I ever see that guy again. I mean, he really, made my blood pressure go up. She's scared, and we don't need to be living like that.
Okay.
So
I think we're all in agreement with that. It's just a matter of what we can and can't do as a board. And we can
Right.
suspend. This is a matter of making the decision.
Right.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll make the right
One other thing,
Ed?
these are privileges, not rights. And everyone, has the privilege of using these facilities, but you don't have a right to. If you abuse privileges, you
All right, we have a motion on the floor to suspend privileges for 60 days. Can we start that? Can we start that immediately? I don't think, if they were able to do that with the incident in the billiard room, as long as the letter is given to them, they can come and, they can go in front of the committee and dispute it, but can we do that?
I have to start my answer with, I'm not the attorney, but my answer would be no, you have to wait and follow what's in your documents.
How was it done? When it was done with the gun incident and the letter was turned over to them, was that checked with the attorneys at the time? Does anyone know? Rick?
My memory's not great. But the individuals, like I said, were extremely cooperative.
Right.
And so we were cooperative also in letting it start then, because it was 6 months. And I would not go by that, use that as precedence, because I think there's a lot of volunteerism involved there. This item, my feeling is if it's an emergency type situation, I think we can do it immediately. If it's not an emergency situation, I think we have to go by the statutes of what we have. We have to have a notice. And has to. So unless this board considers this an emergency, I don't think it can do it.
And I would agree with you, Rick, but I definitely think this is an emergency. I tell you, I saw the video, and whether he's unstable, anger issues, whatever it is, this is a 55 and over community. People move here to be safe and enjoy their retirement. This guy cannot be in that pool with these people. And
I think the fact that he came back the next day and was still, he's been there every day. It's not good, and who knows what's going to happen.
Madam President.
I don't want to be responsible for that. Rick?
May I suggest a procedure here? Sure. We go ahead and take care of the vote on the 60-day, and then immediately following, if somebody has a motion that this is an emergency, that there be an immediate suspension of the treat that as a separate item. Because you have to, John's got it.
Okay, so how long does it take us to get an opinion from the lawyer? Let's check it with the lawyer.
So the one thing that's not being said here that some of us are assuming is that do not expect the level of cooperation that you've received in the past and the i's need to be dotted on this one.
Yes, I agree.
But you do have a tape. You did see the assault, because throwing stuff at people is an assault. So, but if, I don't know, maybe we're afraid of being sued or whatever, but let me tell you, that's an assault. He can never win a case like that.
Can I speak? Yes.
Go ahead, Deb.
Yeah, if the ladies that got hit in the pool did get hurt or really, really feared and called the police, this would be a much bigger issue. And I just want to know if, when you suspend somebody, can you shut their fob off? Because if not, you should collect the fob until you turn the fob off from here, right? Because we're open 24 hours now, and apparently the parents don't watch him very much, or they'd be wondering where he is and what he's doing while he's here.
I don't want any judgments coming down on the parents because we don't know. And I know he's been going through things lately, and, that doesn't excuse the behavior. It doesn't change the behavior. But I also know the parents, and this is not something they will take lightly. So we need to cross the T's, dot the I's. I believe we need to check with the lawyer to see how far we can go. John.
But make the motion today, like I said before, make it as severe as you want it to be, but there's an asterisk to that motion to follow the attorney's recommendation.
On the date of the suspension.
And whether or not the motion includes being accompanied by another adult or whatever the case may be, but pending legal review, you want to take action, but you want it to be in line with your legal opinion. And you don't want to wait for another meeting to
You made the motion, Rick. Do you want to? You made the motion?
We have to. Or make a second motion.
We need to amend it to say per lawyer's recommendations. Would that do it? If we add that?
Or do you want a second motion?
Well, no, if Eileen's motion is to suspend the privileges for this homeowner for 60 days, if you want to do that immediately, I would say pending legal review. If you want to do that following what's in your documents and going through then there's no legal review required with that.
Okay.
Sorry, I was
Okay,
not speaking.
Going to amend a motion to suspend the gentleman immediately for 60 days.
I think we're not suspending the gentleman, we're suspending the residents at 8135 One Bugle Court.
For 60 days pending. attorneys.
Starting immediately pending attorney recommendations. Does that work?
Okay, immediately pending our attorneys.
Okay.
I second that, however.
Did you get that, Deb?
I'll get it, I will.
Okay. And that is what we're attempting to do. We have to get some legal advice, but this will be done immediately unless the lawyer says we can't.
They have to wait.
I don't see how he can say we can't. No.
We all have to wait for an attorney to tell you what's okay?
No.
I don't understand what makes this any different.
Okay, I will try in my understanding, if you are cited for something in the pool, you have the right to go in front of the Fines and Suspensions Committee and plead your case before it will take effect. That was not done. I was not there. It was their prerogative to do that. No, we're representing you. We're the homeowners association. We don't call the police on the residents. if the residents who were at the pool doing the exercise wanted the police called to press charges, they could have done that. Yeah, they could still do it if they want to. At this point, that's not something we are tasked to do or are able to do. Jerry?
Yeah, I'm just curious, if the lawyer says that we have to wait for this to go through this process, who's gonna assume the responsibility of the residents here? You know, well, because this is open 24 hours a day. This guy does come down, he told me and John at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 in the morning. So it's not safe for the residents, in my feeling, so somebody needs to assume the responsibility until this guy gets suspended.
Well,
Because if the attorney says, oh, you have to go through the process, and you know, that could be 14, 15 days.
Well, and I don't think the attorney is going to say that because then he's responsible.
Excuse me, I just want to say one thing.
Go ahead.
The two gentlemen a couple of years ago went before the Fines and Suspension Committee. They went, no lawyer, no nothing.
Right.
Pled their case, they got suspended for 6 months apiece, end of story. I don't know why we have to wait for an attorney to figure out if we can suspend somebody. This guy assaulted 30 women in a swimming pool in a 55 and over development. It's so clear cut. This guy shouldn't even be around anybody in the pool.
I will say this again, and I know this goes against everyone who's sitting out there, but I did look at the tape, and I looked at it 3 times where he threw the sandals. They were thrown in the air. They landed in the water. They did not hit anyone. If you don't believe me, go watch the tape. I don't care, don't. I am telling you what I saw. Now you're gonna take this to the lawyer and say that he assaulted women in the pool, and the lawyer will look at that tape and say, yes, he threw the sandals up in the air. They did not hit anyone. He did not throw them directly at anyone. And if you were not there, even if you were there, when you go in, there's emotions that ran high. Women were yelling back at him, jumping up and down. There was a lot going on. They did not call the police. This is where we stand. We need to speak to a lawyer and find out we are within our rights to do this. I agree with you. I don't want him down there either. He came down the next day and his behavior has not been as bad as it was, but it has not improved. I also know his mother, and I will tell you this, she will be the first one to get a lawyer and check this all out. We cover our butts. We do not need a lawsuit. And that is our job up here to protect the residents and Timber Oaks. We are trying to do both. Enough. Would you like to speak?
Yes, my name is Gaher. It seems to me that we need to revise our rules or something that says if one resident assaults another, they receive an immediate suspension. Not, don't worry about all this. It's the rule that needs to be changed. It says you will be immediately suspended, not go before, but only like assault.
Exactly.
Because that's a serious crime.
Yes, and you would have to prove assault, which I'm telling you from the text, you will not be able to.
Well, I'm not questioning because I didn't see it and I wasn't there, but I'm just saying, if there is an actual assault, they should be suspended immediately, not 30 days from now. I mean, John, it shouldn't have to wait to come to the board, because if it happened 3 weeks ago, then you're waiting 3 weeks. It should be where they have the power to immediately suspend that.
Well, this happened 5 or 6 days ago.
Yeah, and here we are.
Fines and suspensions committee, this gentleman will be able to use the pool for 3 weeks.
Correct.
By the time this happened.
That's what I'm saying.
When we talk to the lawyer, we will find out, we will get an answer and find out if we can do these immediately.
Right.
Okay, let's all stop. Rick.
Thank you. This defines a suspension committee is defined by state law. It's not that we, okay? So we have to go by that. We're trying to get around to do an immediate, through a suggestion or two. We're trying to do it the right way, so it happens right away. But we've got to check with an attorney. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what other discussion's gonna help or change us from doing that.
Jim Nagel, Capri too. Would any of this affect this person's ability to use the Fairway Villas pool?
I do not believe so. Am I right or wrong in that, John?
The water's too cold.
Just real quick, the man admitted to being John, he didn't mean to hit the women with the stuff. I know what you're saying on the film, but he even admitted to being John when he was out there, that he was sorry that he hit a couple women. And like you said, so I don't know what the film's showing, but the man himself and the people there.
Well,
So-
there was such a ruckus going on. I'm sure he had no idea whether he hit someone or not, but I'm telling you, look at the tape. He did not hit anyone.
I know, that's
Well,
what.
the
this
water
is.
splashed on a couple of them, but that was it, so.
All I know is he also,
Audience, residents, please, stop. Stop.
To the gentleman's question, I live in Fairway Villas also.
Yes.
We also have the same kind of rules that we have here at the pool. So if he starts anything down there, it would have to go to the managers of the Fairway Villas that he belongs to, for them to take some action.
All I want is for him to be reprimanded for what he did. You know, this is unacceptable behavior. I'm sorry. As far as you do not see him hit anyone, I'm just going by what the women were standing next to me in the pool. They got hit in the arm. Were they hurt? No. But honestly, what I was doing myself was I was watching him. And it was scary. And it takes a lot for me to get scared. What bothered me is the fact that the profanity was unbelievable. Okay, number one. He had no remorse. He just thought he was in the hot tub, he wanted quiet. His mom even came back up and talked to me and said, he just came up for quiet time. Honey, there's a pool class going on. Well, she blamed us for the whole incident. So I don't see this going anywhere. Honestly, I see it gonna happen again. Truly, I do. I'm sorry. I don't.
No,
mean to be
we have
negative.
no problem with that.
I don't like to be negative, but there's something about him because he went to his car and then he came back. I don't know if it was his car or what, because he walked around the car like he was either getting in it and said, oh, wait a minute, I got something else I want to say. Came back in, and that's when he started the profanity again, and that's when I got jumped. So we should have called the police, absolutely. That honestly didn't even enter my mind. I don't know why, but it didn't. I figured we could handle it here. I wanted him gone. He needed to be gone. You know, because I don't know what else he would have done.
Thank you. And we have no problem with that. The only question we're asking is, can we enforce it immediately or do we have to wait for fines and suspensions? We will check with the lawyer. That is all we can do. The motion is
But
up.
in the meantime, he comes back in the pool and.
I can't, I agree with you. I don't want him there either. The fact that he's come back every day is not good. But legally, we have to cover what we have to do what we're told to do. Thank you. All right, motion is on board. We're done. No, we're done. All right, can we take a vote on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Donna.
I don't know if this would be a good time. Now that we're done with this part of the pool situation. But there are rules and violations getting broke every day at this pool. The other day, there was a 14-year-old boy that was jumping off the pool and then turned around and got in the hot tub. And it specifically says in the rules, and the parents were like, oh, well, you know. We had a guy out there the other day with a glass bottle. Nobody is saying anything to these people. It's not just gonna have to be us board members that happen to be there. If you residents happen to see violators, don't be afraid to bring up something and say, hey, look, this is against the rules. I don't know if we need to have whoever does the orientation.
Stop talking, or we will empty the room and we will end the meeting.
I don't know if we need to have whoever's doing the orientation to specify when they're showing the people. Make sure you follow these rules, because if not, you will be suspended to help enforce it. I don't know what we're gonna have to do. There's rules getting broken all the time up here. We just ordered brand new umbrellas, and already the umbrellas are broke because people are not shutting them down like they're supposed to be.
Eileen,
I was at the pool at the same time you were, yes, and the child was jumping off the side of the pool. Then he was in the hot tub. And I just happened to ask one person after you had talked to him, well, who is the resident with you people? And the lady was like, she could care less about our rules. And the same thing with people with glass out there. There's somebody with a glass bottle in the pool. So don't be afraid to speak up. And then someone also asked me to talk to some mother that had a baby with diapers on in the pool. And I did mention something. And that person has lived here for a year, but never went to orientation. So she didn't know what the rules are.
that is not an excuse. Rules are posted, we have orientation classes, and people ignore them. And you have no idea what it's like as a board member to be out there and see these things going on and have to go up to everyone and tell them. The only thing I can say to you is that if as a resident you do this, mark the time, we can look at the tapes, we can look at the fobs to see who has come in and out, because residents, as residents, you are responsible for your guests. Okay.
I don't want to keep extending this along. Glass bottle, that's a state law. You can call the sheriff on that one. Okay, the other one, turn the residents in, just like we're suspending them here, we can suspend them. It's the only way, you're gonna get rules enforced is if somebody turns them in and tries to show them. And you're fortunate that we don't ask for photos, because we now have the cameras. Thank you.
Okay.
I have to say one thing. I understand everything everybody's saying. That's all good. But you have violators. It's a large community. People violate many different things. The lawn, the roof, the driveway, the pool, the clubhouse. We're going to have violators every day. What do we do? Well, what did we do? Well, we used to close the pool at 11 p.m. Somebody came up with, let's keep it open 24 hours. Why the heck is this pool open 24 hours? Beyond me. Nobody uses it. Nobody. Zero. Why is it open? You show me the tape and see who's in that pool at 3 o'clock in the morning. Who's in the pool at 3 o'clock in the morning?
There are a lot of people, you will be
Well,
amazed.
then you should kick them out and say, you know what, it's time to go to sleep. I've lived in 3 55 and over developments. Not one of them was open 24 hours a day. There's no reason for it. If you don't have enough pool time by 11 o'clock at night, go home, go to sleep.
No, there are a lot of people that work during the day and have.
And they're in the pool, so you work during the day and you have to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, but you're in the pool at 3 o'clock in the morning. It makes no sense.
No. Anyway, I think that's it. Anyone have anything else to say? Thank you, Brenda. Motion to adjourn, seconded by Rick. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all. Meeting is adjourned. Anyone for open forum? Dale?
Yeah, whoops. I found this meeting quite amusing, especially the end of it. we just found out that I've lived here for what, maybe like 9 years. We've had the pool for that amount of time. And this is the first time we have a discussion about something happening in the pool and not knowing how to. Listen, did we just not have this discussion? You're new, you probably weren't here and you missed it, but during open forum, please respect the person talking. If you want to talk, go outside, please. Now, what I'm trying to say is, I just listened for an hour trying to find out what to do about somebody that caused a problem in the pool. Right after we get all disgusted with each other for that, which makes no sense. The pool's been out there for years, and we just now are trying to find out how you punish somebody that does something wrong. I don't understand why we don't know that already. Has nothing to do with you board members, don't take that wrong. But then on the other hand, we're finding out about somebody doing something else wrong at the pool, and you're telling us residents that we need to correct these people because we have just as much right as anybody else to tell them to take a shower or not wear a diaper in the pool or anything else. But why would we not be afraid that that person's going to retaliate on us if the board is afraid that somebody's going to retaliate on them for getting somebody in trouble that's a safety hazard to people in the pool? I got you a little confused, but.
No, I have no problem with it. I don't think people are going to retaliate against me. I just get tired of being the one going up to everyone and saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. Sorry, you can't have that water, it's too close. Sorry, you can't.
But you've got every reason to protect the residents, which were, whether the shoes hit anybody or not, everybody knows the shoes were thrown. They know he did it.
Wait. Well, how does this have to do with me telling someone what they can and cannot do in the pool?
Because like you said, the woman will definitely sue. So how do I know if I yell at the woman whose kid just climbed the fence or that's got the dirty diaper on her kid isn't gonna sue me for telling her what to do? It's
when you go up to someone in the pool, they're doing something wrong, you don't go up and yell at them for it. You say, I'm sorry, that is not allowed. This is your residence. This is your pool. These are your grounds. This is your clubhouse.
And they say,
yes,
who the hell are you? Don't tell me what to do.
And then they say that. Say, well, I own this pool.
And they'll say, well, so do I. We go pay $50 a month.
And like I said, if they give you a hard time, if you want to say something and they give you a hard time, march your butt in here to the office, mark down the time, and let's find out who they are and who's responsible.
And what's going to happen to them? We're going to find out from the lawyer whether we can take their fob away. This is what I'm trying to find out. I'm confused about this.
We can take their fob away. We're asking if we can do this immediately. That's our question. So they're getting this no matter what. They're going to get 60 days. We want to do it immediately, not after they get the chance to go to the finding committee.
Okay, LeMay, I know it's open forum, and that's what I'm trying to find out. If I did something wrong in the pool right now, you know darn well John's going to get my fob as fast as he can. So what is the difference between me and this other guy?
It's not take your fob immediately.
Well, whoever,
not turn
if
it
he's
off.
got anything to say with
We
it.
can, at this point, we can't do it for anyone because they have a right to plead their case. And I understand that, but when there's a danger to the rest of the residents, it needs to be changed.
Okay, that's why, I guess I'm saying, if I was a board member or the board president, I would worry about the lawyer issue later. That person would not get back in this pool tomorrow if I had anything to say about it.
And that's why we made the motion and are waiting. And I don't know if we'll get the answer today, but I would hope by tomorrow we have the answer and that will take care of it. And the letter will be hand delivered. Pull it down. There you go. Get her down. Then just stop right in.
This has nothing to do with the pool and all that stuff. My question is, the lady that goes around, is she assigned certain sections to do like Monday, Thursday? Would it be feasible maybe to get a second person to help?
We already gave her, we actually doubled her hours not that long ago. I think what we need to do before we start looking at any of this is give her criteria to look for.
I just wonder,
which is why we did the committee, because we can't keep saying to this woman, well, you can't tell them and you can't not tell them and everything let's do the criteria and then we'll set it so that she's in certain sections or only looking. Hopefully, we're able to do something about this. This has been a complete year.
Yeah, because it's such a big community. That's, I was saying.
I think the only area she does not go into is Driftwood, and that's because they have their own committee there.
Okay, that was just a question. Thank you.
I guess mine's a personal request. I started a flower bed in my front yard. And it goes from the driveway across.
Give your name too.
Oh, I'm sorry, Norma Jean Smith at 10727 Judy Drive. I brought this to show you how big the flower bed is. I'm trying to establish a flower bed in my front yard. It goes from the driveway, which is in the front, to the side, to the next door neighbors. And they love plants, so it's okay with them anyways. The reason I brought this, it is add 2 more feet to this, and that's how wide it is. It is the length of the driveway. They're all exotic flowers. They're not weeds. They're beautiful flowers. It doesn't make a difference. I can tell you what all they are, but I don't need to. I received a letter that was not in compliance with the flower bed.
You received a letter, well, you put that in for an ARC? I think I'm aware of this.
I had to act because I wasn't aware. This is the estate of my mother. She was 102. She was one of the original people here. And I just was adding that, and I had to put a new pump in. And in fact, I just paid a bill for $1,500 to cut trees down. But what I'm concerned about is simply this form letter. And everything on this form letter doesn't apply to that. I have more than 50% of the front in grass. I don't have any of this hedge stuff, any of this other stuff that's in it, and yet I was denied because, which was blacked out, it said non-compliance with the ABC, it's not ABC, what ARC. It's hard to read because it's blacked out, lines. Well, I'm complying with all of these lines, and yet I can't have a beautiful flower garden. People go by outside working in it and they're just amazed at all the flowers that are blooming. And adds beauty. What do I have to do? Why don't they specifically tell me what's wrong with it?
Did you get a finding letter on your yard?
No.
So you put this in to add on to what is already there, correct?
Excuse me?
You're adding on to what is already in the yard, is that
Yes,
correct? That's why you put in for an
And I
ARC.
didn't realize the flower garden was part of it.
Landscaping. John?
Maybe some clarification. This homeowner received a violation letter for landscaping that wasn't approved. She, in response to that violation letter, she was told to submit an ARC request because the landscaping was not approved. She submitted the ARC. I believe that ARC was denied at the last meeting. So she's here today wondering why it was denied.
I mean, if they tell me what's wrong, I would correct it. But it's nothing, there's not a thing here that applies to this yard.
John?
So I talked to this homeowner recently since she received a denial letter, and my basic response to her was the guidelines that she's referring to are after the fact. That's how to maintain what you have. But to install something new, the board, the ARC committee had the prerogative to deny or approve.
She wasn't listening
The guidelines that we're referring to are to maintain what's there. To install something new, the board has the prerogative and the ARC committee has the prerogative to approve or deny. She's referring to guidelines to maintain what's there, not to install something new. The installation was denied, which means the installation either needs to be removed or a new request for something different needs to be submitted.
And I'm not sure what the reason for the denial was. I do know this. I did go and look at your yard. And there is so much in that yard, around your driveway, in front of your house. You can't even see your house. To maintain something that is aesthetically pleasing or even the whole entire front of your yard is filled, as well as part of your driveway. Your driveway door does not close. There's too much in it.
That's I'm working on it. That,
But that's why the
that's what
violation,
Clorox is
that
there
is
for.
why the violation was set. On the side of your house is a dead palm tree.
No, there's all cut down. And it wasn't dead. They were all alive. I have a bill, $1,500. I cut down 3 palm trees plus the avocado tree.
What is on the side of the garage?
That's gone. And it was
Just
not
the other
dead.
day.
It was as live as can be.
Okay, so that was taken down then after this was put up. After it was denied, the palm tree was taken
It
down.
didn't
after
even
that.
address that. I just did that on my own, because I was tired of the palm trees,
Yes.
yeah, because there's always something dying on it, but the trees were alive as can be. I had them all cut down. And here's my bill to show you.
That's fine. I know when I went by, it was still there. That was probably a week or so ago.
Okay, well, it was then.
The maintenance on the yard needs to be improved. That's why I believe you got the letter. John?
What?
There were multiple violations. One was the landscaping that wasn't approved, and one was for, I believe, not mowing the grass or something of that.
No, my lawn guy comes every week. Don't tell me what's not, never. I can show you bills for that too. There is nothing, never been, never.
And so what is it that you want us to do? You
Well, I
already-
wanted to be put on the agenda, but John said that I'd have to wait until the next time. And I don't want it in limbo because I still have some bricks to put in the front. I have it all outlined and I have the red mulch, but I didn't want to put additional mulch, excuse me, until I got it approved. So I stopped everything.
Well, the only thing you can do is put in another arc if you think, and if I were you, I would define, because when I look at this, it's just a hodgepodge of everything. I know you're saying all these flowers are put in and taken care of, but you can't see your house. You can't, it's like nothing has been trimmed or landscaped. It's just put in there.
No.
Well, is the violation letter still out, John?
I can show
That
it to you.
needs to be taken care of, and you can go to the violation, you can go and under fines and suspensions, you can go there and argue with them about it. At this point, I
Where
don't
is
see
that?
it changing.
Who do I see? I went down, spoke to John, and then he said the appropriate thing was to come here.
John,
So
from what I can see, I can't see reversing this at this point. I mean, it's up to the other board members as well as myself.
I spoke to her a couple days ago, or maybe yesterday. It was, right, was it yesterday or? I spoke with her within the last couple of days, and I told her that it was too late to submit something to be on the agenda for this meeting. But I told her she had an opportunity at open forum. And if the issue was pressed and if the board saw fit, it might be an agenda item for the next meeting. She's not to the point yet. I don't know where she is, and whether it's first notice, second notice, third notice. But there may be 3 violations on her account. One was the denied ARC request that she submitted the request for. One was some type of landscaping, whether it's trimming or pruning or cutting. There was something, the other 2 were related to unkept landscaping. So I can talk to her after the meeting about about what's next.
That's where I started.
Okay.
You'll help.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you all for coming.
I scheduled this change. I was supposed to leave this evening or morning. And I afraid that they went to the movie with their brother. Nobody at the prom. Did it at the school, I had 15 kids. 20 kids. No, I just, I heard it.